Quality Lime's been a part of Marshall for years and years and years in a couple different locations here. And it was actually started by my grandfather, who was born in Cleone, Illinois, near Martinsville in 1894. And he, coincidentally enough, was one of his brothers was Newton Tarble, who went to EIU and he started Snap-on Tools Corporation, and he donated money for the Tarble Arts Center at Eastern. So our family's connected with Marshall, connected with Eastern, and it's just been a good story. Van Tarble was my grandfather's name, and he started as the county superintendent of highways here in Clark County in about the early 1930s. And he worked there, he was working there and realized there was a need for a stone quarry. So in the middle 30s, he started a stone quarry near Clarksville, Illinois. And so in about the early 1950s, they moved to the current location where Quality Lime is, which is south and east of Marshall. They moved to Charleston also and started stone quarry there, or actually bought a stone quarry there in Charleston, and it's still operating today as Charleston Stone Company. Richard Smitley, he was our salesman, and he worked for us from 1958 to 1998. But he worked for the Montgomery brothers at their quarry north of Marshall there, or east of Marshall, and they were always on shaky financial ground. They had no money for dynamite. So his boss, one of the Montgomerys, said, "Richard, you need to go down to the Tarbles at their quarry and ask them if we can have some dynamite." Dean Murphy, he met Richard and he said, "Richard, what do you need?" He said, "Well, they sent me down, they don't have any money, and we need to shoot a shot, and we need some dynamite." And he said, "Well, okay, come back, well, I'll load you up with dynamite." Mr. Montgomery said, "They actually gave you dynamite to use up here?" And he said, "Yeah, they sure did." And he said, "Well, you go back down and tell Van Tarble that I want to talk to him." And about 3 days later, they were there and made a deal, and Grandpa bought the Montgomery quarry then. My dad died in 1983, which was just about a year before I graduated, actually about 4 months before I graduated from college. And so I never got to work with my dad in the quarry. And so that part really is, I think about that a lot, because that is kind of, part of the tradition I missed. But I had great people like Kenny Snedeker who worked with my dad and then worked with me. And of course my brother, he came in the business in 1972, so he worked with Dad for about 10 years. So I got to kind of connect with my dad through them, and that part made it nice. But just the family tradition is kind of cool. There aren't that many businesses left, that haven't sold out to big corporations and things like that. So we're still glad to be a small, big business. We still do the exact same thing. The local radio station, where we do commercials, he says we make little rocks out of big rocks, which is exactly true. That's what we've done since 1935.
We are getting ready to celebrate 100 years. In 1913, the women of Illinois were allowed to vote at elections. And 1915, the Daughters of the American Revolution, the Untitled Chapter, started a campaign to have a public library in Marshall. So the Daughters started to encourage people to put articles in the paper promoting a public library free of charge. So it did get to the ballot in April of 1916, and the voters did vote in favor of the library. And at the time, they didn't have many resources, so many of the local community members started to donate books and money to help house the library. The other thing that they needed was a building. And so in 1916, they were able to open up the Claypool building, which was located on the Claypool block. It was a beautiful big brick building, but it had an exterior staircase, much less facing the north side. So you can only imagine climbing this very high staircase to the second floor of the library. They were there for about 13 years, and then finally were able to move to the 700th block on Main Street, which was where City Hall was. So they went up on the second floor of City Hall. So it was much improved, even though it was second floor. It was an interior staircase. The Friends of the Library group was formed in 1964, and they began a campaign to raise money for a ground level library. And in 1968, they had raised enough funds to purchase the Wilfond clothing store. They were able to purchase the building, and then after that, they dissolved. They had reached their purpose and dissolved at that time. And that was the house of the library for the next 25 years. But during that time, the Americans with Disabilities Act came into place, and the library was no longer covered under this act. It was not accessible for all patrons. And it was just during that time in 1994 that the building next door to the library at 612 Archer Avenue went for sale. And during this time, the Friends of the Library was reorganized to fundraise once again for buying or purchasing a building to accommodate the library's needs. This building in particular was well loved by the community. It had been many things over the years, most famously the C.A. Dixon, the Canton-Dixon farm implements. The building became Marshall Auto, which is actually where they made Ford vehicles. The 20 millionth Ford was built in Marshall, Illinois, and there was a large celebration in the street showing that particular Ford being built in the community. After that, it became Western Auto, and then it became a Kroger and an antique store, and finally the library. The library today has many services and materials that it offers. We have over 30,000 materials. We have over 200 programs a year. We have about 50,000 visits a year at the library, and so we are fortunate to have the library that we do. We are well supported by our city and by our tax dollars. We are able to supplement education with meaningful programs for children, and we're able to do that with many of the services that we offer. The community has really embraced the library being basically the hub of Marshall.
Marshall Main Street is a nonprofit organization focused on the downtown business district and revitalization and keeping it a great place to visit. Main Street has been around for 19 years. We are very excited for our 20th anniversary next December. We actually currently have over 100 businesses in our district. Our district was recently expanded to include a few more businesses that were kind of on the edge of the district, but we felt like we really needed to support them as well. So we support our businesses in any way that we can, whether it be advertising for them. One of our biggest thing is offering the grants, and so they can apply for a grant, whether it be for new awnings, new windows, a fresh coat of paint. It can be for their roof or just any outside maintenance that they want to do to their building so that it continues to stand for maybe another 100 years. We offer educational tours to our students. We do 3 every year. We always do the 2nd, 5th, and 6th graders. So they come downtown and visit different locations downtown. They go to the post office, they go to the log cabin, they visit the county courthouse, and they also come to historic Harlan Hall, and they learn a little bit about the history of their hometown, along with a little bit of the architecture of the buildings that are downtown as well. Main Street likes to offer a lot of events downtown to bring people into the downtown district and see what businesses we have to offer, as well as a little bit of fun and entertainment. This year we brought back bingo. So the 1st and 3rd Tuesdays of every month we play bingo in Harlan Hall. And then every February or 1st of March we always offer our Night on the Town. This is a time for adults to get away for a catered dinner and some fun entertainment. First of spring, we started doing a spring fling, where it is simply a vendor show. People can come and shop with vendors. And then followed directly in May is our downtown sidewalk sales and community-wide yard sales. Summertime events include our lemonade stand contest for the kids, and we have also started doing a strawberry fest in conjunction with that, where you can get your strawberry shortcakes as well. It's a great time for the kids to make their own lemonade stand and serve their own lemonade to the public, where they can get votes for prizes, and they just enjoy being out in the public and being able to serve up their own lemonade. And then the City Band concerts follows that, along with a free street dance for kids and teens that night. We like to take part in as many other organization events as we can. We usually do the Lions Club Chili Cook-Off, and we will do the Fall Frolic, the Halloween Frolic, along with the city and the chamber, and just kind of have a little part in other organization events as well to show our support for them. And then we end our year with Holidays, which is always the first Saturday in December, where vendors set up in Harlan Hall. The public is invited to come shop, maybe get most of their shopping list taken care of all at once, and just kind of a fun, festive day for everybody in December. We invite everybody just to hop off the interstate, come down just a little bit into downtown Marshall, see our great architectural buildings that we have, and see what all Marshall actually has to offer.
I've experienced the Clark County Fair since I was old enough to walk on the place, and to me, that fairgrounds is my other home. The first chance that I got to start helping out there, I just went out there and started working. The Clark County Fair originally started off as the Marshall Community Fair in 1896. It was actually formed out where it's at now. Group of farmers all got together, community leaders. They came about deciding that fairs for rural America were the big entertainment for the communities back in that time. It was the way that the farmers could get their livestock looked at. They could get the farm implement dealers could show off all their equipment. They could bring all that together in one place and have one big gathering for the year. The fair in town here, for Clark County is pretty special for myself, a lot of other people. We grew up in the fairs, going to them, participating in them. It's still heavily ag-related based. This year, 2016, will be our 120th year for our fair here in Clark County. It sits directly back behind the community swimming pool and next to Burnside's community nursing home. Everything will kick off with in front of the grandstands on Monday evening. We're bringing back horse pulling to the fair. That was a mainstay for years and years and years. That had gone by the wayside, but we're bringing it back this year. We have a lot of volunteers from the community. Marshall has been very generous in helping us out with anything that we ever needed. When it comes down to it, Fair Week is the biggest event that the town has for the year. We bring in around 6,000 to 7,000 people. That's what we've been bringing in. That's a lot of people moving through, each night. You get the closeness of all the people in town that everybody knows. You got all the kids that can come in, and you can still let them go out there and just play and just run. And the parents can sit out there on the midway, or wherever, and they can still see all the way out through the carnival area, let their kids play and just run. You got the fair food. How can you pass up fair food? You got demo derbies, queen pageants, tractor pulls, truck pulls. You got, to me, it's Americana. That's what it is. I love it.
It's the oldest building in the state of Illinois, and originally it was a stagecoach stop. It was for a stagecoach that went from Indianapolis to St. Louis, and they stopped here in Marshall, and that's where they rested the horses, and then the passengers slept in the Archer House. So I think the amount of historical significance that it has, it was the meeting place for Marshall through an awful lot of its life. It had a ballroom, it had dining rooms. The Archer House has historical significance because it was built in 1841 by Colonel William Archer. He was the founder of Marshall. It has had several presidents stay there. Abraham Lincoln stayed there several times. President Cleveland stayed there several times. So it does have a lot of historical significance. It has 15 to 20 inch walls all the way around it. It's brick. It has hickory beams for floor joists in the floors for the first level. It was continuously operated as a hotel up until 1986, I believe, when it was acquired by Dan Smith in Casey. He operated it as, he had a buffet, served some meals, and also used it as a meeting place. In 1991, it changed hands again, and Charlene Brand purchased it. She completely restored the Archer House, so she completely replumbed, rewired it, and redid the upstairs, which originally had 33 rooms. It was closed in 2005 because of her illnesses, and it sat on the market until I purchased it in 2010. Right now, what I want to do with the Archer House is, the first thing I want to do is take the front porch off of it and put it back the way it was. We've taken a lot of the floors out to get it down to the original wood floors. We've exposed the brick walls again. We'll put a bar in the lobby where we have the original tin ceilings from when it was built. It also has the original marble steps that go into it that haven't been changed. And I'll use it again for meetings, things like that. I think we'll serve some dinners, and we'll just start slow and see what happens with it. So that's my intent with it right now. The windows in the front have been changed a couple of times. There used to be two big windows on either side. It was of the north side, and now those have been changed back again. The porches have been changed several times. The rooms inside have been divided and taken down. The stage, there was a stage put in it in the 1980s, and then when Charlene Brand had it, she built a bedroom there. So all those walls have been torn down again. So it's gone through a lot of hands and a lot of changes. I know at one time there were beauty shops in there, there was a watch shop, Western Union was in there for a short time. So it's been through a lot of changes, but I think I'd like to put it back to how it was originally, within reason. So like say the original wood floors and brick walls and that kind of thing. Well, hopefully it would bring a lot of people, I think, with its historical significance. Even people in Chicago, I think, had a lot of interest in it originally. And I think if I do it right, and we make it really nice, you know, everything that we do there is right, I think it will draw a lot of people to come to see it.
My grandfather was born in 1882 in Peru, Indiana. His parents were John Theodore and Louise Andress Rademaker. He was the oldest surviving son of 8 children. He had an 8th grade education, and after he graduated from 8th grade, he went to work for his father in his father's bottling business in Marion, Indiana. And in 1911, he married my grandmother, Margaret Bridget Craig. He made his way to Marshall in 1908 to start a bottling business with the help of his father. And the name of the business was the Rademaker and Son Bottling Works, which he was the son. Business started to improve, but he also got into other things. He bought a pool room, and it was set up as Rademaker Billiard and Pool Room. In 1910, he had an opportunity to move his business to downtown Marshall. Before the move, though, he started publishing newspaper articles talking about the move, and I would like to read one of them. It says, "Don't read this unless you are thirsty. If not now, you will be soon. Then drink Ratty's orange cider. Your first drink won't be your last." In 1915, he was still looking to expand business, so he announced a manufacturer of ice cream. He introduced the ice cream cone to Marshall. He had what they called a Jack and Jill cone, which was a single cone with two places for scoops of ice cream, and that cost a nickel. In 1919, the business was continuing to grow, so he needed a larger location, so he bought a building on South 6th Street, which is on the east side of the square. So after the transition, then they started offering more flavors of soda pop. They offered cherry blossom, orange pineapple, which always sounded kind of unusual to me, but I remember growing up as a kid, that was my favorite soda pop that he had, was orange pineapple. In 1932, he had the opportunity to buy the Candy Kitchen, and he bought it from Pete and George Halakos, who were known to everybody in town as the Greeks. The Candy Kitchen offered homemade candies, ice cream, malts, all other different kind of novelty items. In 1936, he sold the pool hall, but then he started distributing beer. His first beer he distributed was called Royal Six. Then later he started distributing Fall City beer, then Drury's, and Champagne Velvet. Champagne Velvet was what had been brewed in Terre Haute, Indiana. Then in 1939, he picked up the franchise for Double Cola, which is probably what everybody is very familiar with, even though he still had his own line of pop. In 1944, my aunt and uncle, Martha and Emer Haw, bought the Candy Kitchen, and they continued on with the business. In 1946, my mom and dad, Don and Margaret Ferris, became partners of Rademaker and Son, and they continued the business for several years. In 1950, they started to bottle Dad's root beer. Then in 1958, my grandfather decided to retire. He was 76 years old. In 1959, the business closed due to my poor health of my father. In 1961, my grandparents celebrated their 50th wedding anniversary, and a year later, my grandfather died. So I consider him a very prominent and innovative businessman in Marshall. He was active in his church and the community. He played a key role in the Chamber of Commerce and the Rotary. He helped sponsor the Junior Chamber of Commerce. But most importantly, he was a loving father and family man.
We are having a ball in Marshall. This is our story. We are having so much fun. We got a couple new faces in our phone bank.
Yes, we do. We had a couple new arrivals tonight that were storytellers. We have Dan Cruz and Jesse, his wife. And you know what? I thinking about that. Damien. Oh, Damien is over here as well. I didn't know you joined us. Thank you so much for coming up here and helping out. Something I wanted to mention about this before we get to the phone number and everything to give them a call is we had so many different couples on this program.
Yes.
Damien, Eleanor, Dan and Jesse, Terry and Marianne Stepp, and Mary Jane and Larry Bender, who Mary Jane is in here as well. So I think that is really cool. Something very special about that program. So if you know any of those folks, if you know any of those couples, you give us a call right now and get this phone ringing right back here.
There we go. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening.
As we said earlier, if you love this program and you have been watching all evening and you're sitting back saying, I think I might want one of those, well, now is your time to call. And what we say, and several people are doing tonight, is they're buying two. One for themselves and one to give away to a child, to an aunt, to an uncle, to a mom and dad who maybe can't watch us, but they can give them a DVD.
They make great gifts, actually, because this is something, if you have someone that's hard to buy for and they love history, they love their hometown, they grew up here, this is something very special for them to keep for many years to come. If you get more than one, they're $60 each, and one copy is $75.
Right now, let's get the phones going. Once we get them going, we're going to start thanking everybody. So who's going to be the next person? Hey, I want to give a shout out to Jeff. He's watching, and he's from Charleston, and he's loving watching this program. So Jeff, thanks for watching. Somebody probably called him. That's why he's watching tonight. So if you know somebody else that's not watching, call them. But right now, we want you to call us. Lola's waiting to hear.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, Lola's waiting for somebody to call her. So we're waiting.
We're waiting.
We're waiting because I know somebody out there wants to call.
There's some more people in Paris that are enjoying the program tonight. We have Dyke Davis and Sue Kasumpus. Kasumpus. I knew I was going to butcher that. I'm sorry. Sue, thank you, and Dyke, thank you so much for watching tonight.
Margaret Mayer, she's from St. Mary, Indiana. She called and ordered one for her aunt that is 95 and can't get the station. So thank you so much. Another idea. Mindy Mealing. We've known Mindy forever. She's an Eastern employee. She called and she loves Marshall. She grew up there, and thank you, Mindy, so much for calling.
You've been giving so many shout outs via social media for us, Mindy, and we really appreciate that. So thank you for that. Sally Gill from Paris, thank you.
Jerry Tarble called. That's John Tarble's brother. So thank you so much for calling.
Chandra Smith, who is the daughter of Ken Smith.
Yes.
Liz Indicator, thank you so much for calling in tonight. I'm sure your dad appreciates that.
Gerald Pine called from Tucson, Arizona. So give him a clap. That's great. Thank you so much, Gerald.
And I also have Jennifer Smitley, who is Rhett's niece by marriage.
Yeah,
so
wow. Thank you so much.
It's a family affair tonight.
Daryl Liggett called. He loved the Rick Metzger story. Dad and Grandpa
worked at Velsico together.
Now, there's probably other people out there that have worked there as well. If you're one of those people and you appreciate the history of Marshall, you loved working there, give us a call right now and support this program.
If you're one of those folks who remember Velsico, remember that smell of chlordane, or wish you still could smell that smell of chlordane because it brings back so many memories, give us a call tonight. Tell Rick Metzger you said thank you so much for telling that story about all the different people that factory affected their lives. Kelly, you're sitting over there with some storytellers. We're going to give it over to you.
I am, and I don't know what it is about me, but I can't keep the same person sitting next to me tonight. But I have my dear, 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 dear friend, Miss Rhett Smitley, joining me next to me this evening. She's been chair hopping tonight because everybody wants to talk to Miss Rhett because she's such a wonderful lady. And she has a shout out that we're going to share with everyone tonight. What's your shout out, Miss Rhett?
Well, you know what? Over the years, we've had all these hundreds and thousands of people come to Marshall, to the Marshall Autumn Fest, and they would say, oh, we enjoyed ourselves. We had such a wonderful time. I would like to hear from some of those folks. Wouldn't that be great?
That would be great. And I'll tell you what, I guarantee you, I was just talking to Miss Rhett, and she worked at ZFTRW for 46 years with that pleasant voice greeting people from all over the world. But tonight, Miss Rhett would like to talk to you and greet you with Marshall. This is our story. So please call us this evening. Tell us, you know, I had Mr. Snedeker just sit down next to me, another one that kind of sat down and moved, but he sat down and he said, you know what, I just had a gentleman call and say, I just want to tell you folks, I'm enjoying Marshall. This is our story tonight, and we sure hope you are. So please give us a call this evening. And before I toss it back to the ladies, I'd like to say thank you to Judy Idle. She called tonight, but she said you got to give Larry a plug too. So thank you, Judy and Larry, for calling this evening. And I'd like some more of my friends and parishioners to call this evening and support Marshall. This is our story. Jana, Kian.
Well, I'm standing over here with somebody who came in a little bit late tonight, but we're so glad he joined us. He's a good friend of the station, good friend of mine for many years, and I have Dan Cruz here with me. So Dan, tell me why you were late coming in tonight.
Well, I was late, but I think I have a little bit of an excuse because I was at the Marshall School Board meeting. I'm a school board member, and you know, we take great pride in our school system because we have a great system, and it's just wonderful to serve in it. Because you and I have talked about this, that I'm not from Marshall originally, but I just love the community, and it's a little bit that I can give back.
Absolutely. We're so glad you're here tonight. Thanks for coming in. Thanks. We joke just a little bit. Dan and I have known each other for a long time, and I've gotten to know a lot of more people from Marshall through this process and through this story. And Dan is actually one of our storytellers as well. And Brian Murphy, who's over here on the phone, and he told me that Dan's story is actually the last one, and he just wraps up this whole program with a bow on it at the end, because you'll have to wait and see. It's going to be at the very end, but right now we want you to give us a call and get a copy for yourself, because then you can hear these stories at any time at your convenience. Jana, over to you.
Right now, there's hardly anybody on the phone. as we know, that is not a good thing. Right now, if you want to call and support this wonderful program, thank you so much. Phone ringing is the best thing ever when you call. So right now, give us a call. We want you to support this program that your people from Marshall talked about. They talked about history. They talked about their families. They talked about the love of Marshall. I'd like to give a shout out to Louie Geckler. Thank you so much for calling. We appreciate it. Patty Hennig, she's really enjoyed watching and she's from Marshall, so thank you, Patty. We want to keep on giving these shout outs to people, but you've got to call first. Ted's on the phone and we don't know who he's talking to. Larry Yargis is on the phone. He was one of our storytellers.
He was also one of our underwriters.
Yes, he was. Thank you. Larry has been very generous to us, and we really, truly appreciate it. We've had some great underwriters for this program.
If you're sitting there tonight and you've been watching this program and you said, I didn't know that. I've lived in Marshall all my life and I didn't know that. I'm so glad that storyteller told that story. Now I know what that building was. Now I know who that person was. Now I know why Marshall is what it is.
Right.
Give us a call right now and tell them so much how you really appreciate what they've done.
You know what's great about this program? That for people like me, I've never been to Marshall. I've gone to the interstate and that's what I've done. I've learned so much about Marshall through this program. This is a great opportunity for people nationwide to know where Marshall is, what Marshall is made of, and the great history that they have there. We are talking wonderful people that live in Marshall. I have never been to a cleaner city, and I say that sincerely. We spent a lot of time in Marshall, and I'll tell you what, I don't know who does all the cleaning in that town, but it is beautiful. So everybody, support this program.
Okay, we've got some more supporters right here. Okay, everyone's going to give a shout out to this one, I know, because I've heard this name a lot. Dr. Jim Turner called in tonight.
Woo! Yeah.
Thank you so much for calling in. Joe Richvadas, thank you.
Yes.
She was one of our
Did a
storytellers
great
as
job.
well. Alan Tyler, who retired from Marshall Post Office in Mill Creek. So thank you
so
Alan,
much
for calling in tonight.
Do you hear the phones ringing? That's what we want right now. That is speaking loudly to us. That's saying, WEIU, stories like Marshall are so important to us. You're standing up for Marshall. You are saying we are a great community, and we know that you are. You're calling tonight. You've got great storytellers that have volunteered to do stories for us. We could not ask for nicer people.
We have another some more people. I can't talk right now. We have some more people to thank. It's Brian and Tiffany Mackey. Tiffany is a storyteller as well, 100 Women Who Care. So you cared tonight enough to give us a call. We thank you for that.
That was a great story, and it really, really spoke loudly to me that she, along with other women, want to give back to the community. What a great idea.
Speaking of women that give back to their community, Kelly, we're going to give it back over to you.
Oh, that was a sweet greeting. Somebody was on the phone wanting to talk to me, and I'll be right with you. But first, I want to, yes, somebody's yelling for me too. It's Larry Yargis, and I know he wants to talk to me, and I have a bone to pick with Larry because he was supposed to be live in studio tonight answering phones with Miss Rhett and I. So, Larry,
yes, Larry,
I'll get with you the next time I see you, which will be very soon. Oh, Larry wants me to blow him a kiss. So the next, Larry, thank you for supporting Marshall. This is our story. Next time I'll see you, I'll have to give you a big fat hug. But we appreciate everybody calling in for Marshall. This is our story. Thank you to Yargis Manufacturing for supporting Marshall. This is our story, and all the other wonderful underwriters that have provided us the opportunity to do this story for you tonight. I hope you're enjoying all of the wonderful stories told tonight. The Marshall Pool story, the Marshall Main Street, the Archer House, Quality Lime, just stories, the Velsico. I tell you, when I was sitting and watching them after the show was produced and we had a special premiere for all of our storytellers, I just sat back and I just thought, wow, this is my town. These are the wonderful stories being told about it. And we hope you're enjoying the program tonight. I tell you what, we need you to call. We need you to tell us how much you support Marshall. This is our story. This is a historical chance for you to be part of such a wonderful program. Keanne, Jana?
The phones are silent right now.
We need to call.
Crickets. I hear crickets. Not a good sound because it's much more fun when the phones are ringing.
I do have a thank you. Colleen Gagan McConnell called. She said that she loved the John Ferris story. We all loved it too. And that her uncle was one of the past mayors of Marshall. So thank you so much, Colleen. We appreciate you calling in. If you want to be like Colleen and you want to show your support, we need you to get on the phone right now. This kind of program is not going to happen anywhere else other than your public broadcasting television station. We want WEIU to be your station. So right now when you're calling in, you're saying, thank you, WEIU, for allowing our people that live in our community to share their stories. So we thank you so much.
We have a few more thank yous. Don Rhodes from Effingham, Illinois. Thank you for calling in. And Carol Henderson from Marshall.
Thank you so much. It's always fun to hear from Marshall people, but it's extra fun when people are calling from other communities. Obviously, they have a great connection with Marshall and they think a lot of Marshall, so we appreciate you for calling in.
Speaking of Larry Yargis, your story is coming up in the next segment. It's a great story about Yargis Manufacturing. Jessie Cruz joined us back here on the phone bank. She has a story of 4-H. We're also going to hear from Tiffany Mackey, the 100 Women Who Care. So a lot of the people who are calling in to support or who are here tonight are storytellers as well.
We're so excited about the ones coming up. If you are sitting on your couch and you're enjoying this program and you have not called yet to support it, please jot down the number on your screen and give us a call. We would love to talk to you. We'd love to have one of these storytellers chat with you for a minute, and we'd love to give you a shout out.
But don't go anywhere because we're going to get back to the program. Marshall, this is our story.